Guys, I'm so sorry that we are late. We struggled to get on. I hope everybody is joined on. I see we've got some people joining. I hope that we're 3 minutes late. So hopefully everybody else is also going to be on. I'm just going to wait 2 more minutes and then we're going to get started. So get comfy, get your cup of tea if there's no load shedding by your place, but there is here. So we've got some beautiful little ambient lights keeping us lit up here for the rest of the evening. I'm seeing so many likes. Thanks for the thumbs up, everybody. Yeah, please like this live stream. And we were already chatting about some of the stuff that we're going to talk about, and it is going to be lit like you will not believe. Oh, we've got some people joining us. Okay, cool. So you can't get tea, so we all just got some water, and we'll just have to wing it. But it's going to be amazing. So send your love in the comments and also your questions as we flesh out our 3 points tonight, which is recovery, rebuilding, and relationships. And then we're going to have our special guest introduce herself. And I'm going to get started in the next literal 1 minute. So invite your friends, get on your phone, put it on your WhatsApp status that the Tiny Room Mental Health Live is starting. Lovely. We're seeing so many visitors. Hey, everybody. Thanks, Ingrid. Nice to have you on.
I see my friend Thingy with it.
Yeah. And also we have our intern, Whitney, who started yesterday. So exciting stuff there. You'll be seeing a lot of her face in some of our content. So if I'm not mistaken, it is 5 past. So I'm just going to pull this a little bit closer. If you can't hear us, just please let us know and we will speak a bit louder. But I'm pretty sure that you can hear us well. So welcome to the Tiny Room Mental Health Live on YouTube. We have changed our platform. The Instagram lives had a delay, and in our speech and the recording quality was not great. So tonight's live will end up on our channel, on our YouTube channel. So you can share it far and wide. By all means, like and subscribe to the channel, because every Thursday night we are going to have another special guest. But yes, I'm Lucinda Jane Valentine. I am the owner and lead therapist of the Tiny Room. We are based in Stellenberg in Bellville in Cape Town, but we also have virtual therapy and counseling sessions nationally and internationally. We have South African clients who are living abroad in Singapore, in South Korea, in Germany, in the UK, in the US. So we see them for counseling and therapy sessions online. And we love that we get to support our South African loved ones abroad. And then also we have, like I said, our intern, but we've got Annika, our registered counselor. So she takes on a lot of our counseling bookings and releases me to take on all the therapy bookings. We have tween clients, teen clients, adult clients, and we just love the fact that we have teen focused therapy. So without further ado, I am going to introduce our special guest, Mantombi, who has written the most amazing book, but I'm not going to get into it just yet. We're going to talk about it later. So Mantombi, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
To the Tiny Room, which is actually in the bigger portion of the practice. The Tiny Room is downstairs and the lighting was not going to be great there. But Mantombi, what was your thoughts when I messaged you to say, hey, would you like to be part of one of our live streams and speak about your book, which I don't want to talk about. I want to leave it to you, and we can just go and have a bit of a banter about these 3 topic points that you wanted to, plug into and flesh out. So let me know, what was your feeling? What was your thought? What came to mind? Like, I want to tell the world these things. What was on your mind?
Actually, those 3 things came to mind. I'm very passionate about this subject because I was a single mom for most of my life. Actually, the majority of my life I was a single mom, and I saw so many single moms around me, but nobody was talking about it. It was just like something that people either sweep under the rug.
What do you think is that? Do you think it's once again a stigma, or? And you know what's so crazy, and we were chatting about it earlier, that the stats on single motherhood is through the roof in South Africa now. We're using South Africa as the context. But at the same time, this hush-hush taboo type of vibe with single motherhood but yet the stats are so high. Why? And you felt it as a single mom.
Felt it, and I think there's a dual message. There's the stigma, that once you're a single mom, especially in the African context, if you are a divorcee, then nobody wants to get into it and talk about it. It's just like, okay, it happened, you failed, now let's move on,
Wow.
And then there's the other aspect where the single mom is this strong, powerful boardroom woman that everybody is, looking up to. So it's like, okay, this person is doing so great, in the corporate world. They have this huge car, this huge house. So surely they are fine, because they have all this money. But nobody understands and nobody knows the pain behind that steel and strong
that
black
facade.
that
It's not the facade, but at least it's that lifestyle that makes people
the
think.
mask. It's the
there
mask.
we go, the mask. That's it.
It's the mask. So I lived in both worlds, where, okay, you're divorced, let's not talk about it, you're not important, you're almost invincible, in the family. And then the married ones are the ones who speak at functions, who are.
Great stuff. I don't even know how much you all heard. Let us know in the comments what all you were listening to. We were talking about recovery, and I don't know how far the connection kicked out before you didn't hear the rest of the recovery. So Mantombi can continue to talk about on recovery, and then we were stepping into rebuilding, but we first wanted to see if you had any questions on recovery. So yeah, pop it in the comments. But we were talking about the different lengths of period that recovery can take, and also all the different shames that come with recovery. So I don't know if you want to maybe just go over the shame outfits that you were talking about, where it's, being a single mom where you've gotten pregnant and the person's left, then being a single mom where you were married and got divorced, and then being a single mom and your spouse passes away or your partner passes away. We've had COVID, so it has happened. So just speaking to that shame again, because it was mind-blowing for me to hear about this perceived shame, or this almost like this worldly society, social media, movies, series, packaged shame. Just speaking to that again, because that just blew me away on
the shame that we take on ourselves, and it's not even ours.
It's not even your shame. I have no words for that. So Mantombi, explain to everybody again about that shame that isn't your shame. You having your family, and you were saying it's normally the closest people to us who are kind of like pushing that shame onto us, or speaking that shame, or behaving that shame, if that even makes sense. But it's not your shame. How do you approach that? How did you recover through that? Because it's quite layered.
Yeah,
it's quite overwhelming. It's a lot of heaviness that you have to. So what did you do before you hit into the rebuilding? How did you cope?
Well, for therapy, I think I also didn't mention as part of recovery, you cannot escape getting support, because when you are in the movie, you can't see clearly because you are in the picture. So you need somebody who's outside the picture that is able to show you that actually that shame that you are feeling is not your shame. Because you realize, you're feeling shame because you're like, with me, it was like, I'm the first one to get divorced in my family. But,
okay.
Yeah, but that's not your shame. That's everyone else feeling like, oh my God, you've disappointed us or whatever, but it's really not your shame. But you take it on because they project it on you.
Would you also say that it is, I don't want to say this in a offending way, but as you gain more wisdom during this journey, you start seeing more and more clearly that it isn't your shame. So in the beginning, it starts out where you are taking it on, you're thinking it's your shame. But then you have this clarity eventually, and this wisdom kicks in, and you start like, wait a minute, this ain't mine.
Yeah,
This ain't my baggage.
Yeah, because I'm the one who was in the relationship.
Yeah.
And I know what it was like.
Yeah, true.
You know,
all the truths. You know all the truths.
I know all the truths, and I know the things that I couldn't take.
Yeah.
So now, why am I feeling ashamed for making a decision that supports me and my children?
Sure.
So we take on this shame, you know, societal shame, like I said, family shame, and then there is the shame that this person left me. But that person left you because of their issues, actually. It's got nothing to do with me. But in that, during that time, you think there's something wrong with you.
Yes. You get to that point eventually when you realize that you don't take it personally. It's not on you. You go through, obviously, like you were saying, you've gone through, therapy, you get the support, you start seeing the clarity that what was your hand to play in the situation and what was not your hand to play. But at the time, you are taking on all that baggage. It's not even baggage, it's just all the responsibility, all the layers, and then you still have to be a mom.
Yes, you still have to be a mom. It's as if you're the only one responsible for the relationship working out.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot. That is a lot.
So it's quite a lot. So that is why most people will skip it.
What the recovery.
Recovery. So
like you said, take the plane to Bloemfontein
we don't have drive anymore.
And not driving anymore.
And that's it's a dangerous thing not to do that recovery process, because then you're going to just replicate.
Oh wow, the tiny room is going to speak into this recovery season of a client's life, on anybody's life. We'll speak about that in the end, about this recovery process.
Because if you're a sports person and you break a leg, everybody knows that if the leg is broken, you're probably going to be, for 6 weeks, that leg needs to be elevated, or you put a cast on, you can't walk on it. But why do we think that if we go through emotional pain or brokenness, it's like we're walking around with bleeding hearts?
Oh my word, that's powerful.
People are walking around with hearts that are bleeding. They're in pain, but they don't want to stop. But if it was a leg, it would force you to sit down.
Oh my goodness. I got visuals. So in my mind, I live in a movie. Okay, that's why people think I'm so crazy as a therapist, guys. But I see what you're saying. It's a lot of the time when you've got an illness, and mental health and mental illness even is not always seen as a broken arm or a broken leg or going through, you're going to go through mental challenges, going through this recovery period, or going through this relationship coming to an end. There's going to be a grieving process. There's going to be a trauma process. There's going to be all these processes happening in parallel, but nobody knows, because that Mantombi said it's a bleeding heart, so you don't see that.
You don't see that. You have your makeup on. You've got the most expensive one. You went, you went to buy the most expensive makeup. You went and bought the most expensive hair. You just because that's what we do when we go through breakups. You
try and make yourself feel better.
Yeah, revamp, look good.
Revamp. We're spilling the tea here for sure. Oh my, that's funny. Okay, so now you start going through that recovery period, and you are seeing things with that clarity. You are now healing, and you are going through that process in itself, which links up to the rebuilding. So in therapy, we talk about unpacking and then rebuilding, or just unpacking and then packing up again, or rebuilding. So I don't know how long, if you can maybe remember, how long was your recovery season, so that we can put it into perspective? Because some people think, it must be 3 weeks, or it must be 3 months. How long more or less do you...
With a divorce, they say for every year, you need at least, am I right, 2 years?
I know there's a saying like that, yes. I know something like that. If you know, please put it in the comments.
But after 2 years, if you've gone through a divorce, that's when at least you're starting to feel like yourself. Before then, you are in this emotional roller coaster. Remember, you have to move, you have to either get kids into a new school while you're working and you're trying to be productive at work, and new friends, you're losing friends, you're fighting. Divorce takes about a year or so to get finalized.
That's true. Some people take 7 to 8 years.
Yes. So after 2 years, that's when at least you start to feel like yourself. But you're really not, to be honest with you, a divorce will take you about 5 to 10 years to recover from, because there's financial recovery, there's a lot of recovery that
you built a lot together as a unit, and now to change that dynamic so I want to say drastically, because you now are two people that can delegate and the capacity is double, and now you've got one person's capacity and the only human. And then you've got the recovery period. And like you said, it's not just recovery of the bleeding heart, it's financial recovery. It's a couple of, trying to take care of your kids on your own.
Kids as well, new school, new friends. And but we don't realize how long. It's only now that I'm looking in hindsight, I'm like, wow, actually, and when I look at my friends who also went through divorce, and you realize that it actually took at least 10 years for them to be back on their feet financially and all that. But 2 years is all that emotional.
That's realistic.
Yes, 2 years is all that emotional junk and all that. And hence people will jump into another relationship. Because they don't want to go through all that.
Are we going to go there? I think we should go there.
But we haven't rebuilt.
No, we haven't. You haven't rebuilt yet. So now you're rebuilding so that you don't go to that last point, which is now the relationships. So I take it you did it more healthily.
No.
Okay, we are spilling the tea tonight. This is hilarious. Okay, Mantombi, tell us what happened.
Oh gosh, a lot happened. That's why you need to get the book.
Oh, I can't wait.
But what happens is that's where I learned that you actually don't attract what you want. You attract who you are.
Oh, spot on.
So if you are wounded, you're going to attract another wounded person.
Sure.
If you are angry, you're going to attract another angry person.
Oh, you are speaking gold.
If you were abused and you didn't go through the recovery period, you're probably going to attract another abuser.
Oh my goodness.
So I went through my fair share of drama, one relationship to the next, and like serious drama. I'm not talking about drama that you can hide. Big drama.
So almost, and this is the thing, being a human is not one-dimensional. Living life is not linear. So I almost try and get people to understand living our lives is like a web. You've got things coming at you from all angles, but like you were saying, yes, we're talking about recovery and rebuilding and relationships, but even when Mantombi was rebuilding, she was also in some relationships that were causing more recovery or recovery from those relationships. So sometimes you're recovering and rebuilding.
Yes, at the same time. Oh gosh, I've been on the recovery table
with a scalpel.
So many times. So at some point I was like, gosh, if you were to look at my heart, it's probably so bruised.
And scarred, all these scars.
But it took me a long time to say, dude, hold on.
Okay.
Calm down. Stop doing this to yourself.
Okay.
Because you realize that we actually don't even know how to love ourselves.
Oh, that
and yet
is
you are out here trying to get people to love you.
You are speaking the tiny room language. I mean, if you had to know the details of our therapy process, you are speaking into so many elements that I'm going to give Mantombi the biggest 5 million hugs afterwards, because you don't get therapy like that understands that you need to like and love yourself. You can't have one or the other. And actually, a lot of people like themselves, but they don't love themselves, and they don't even know what healthy love looks like. We've got obviously a lot of media that tells us what love is, and it isn't actually that. Unconditional love is something kind of boring in a lot of people's opinions, but yet you need it. But unconditional love with yourself first. You need to be your number one fan. You need to be your cheerleader first. So that number one relationship is important. So now you have this moment of stopping. You kind of like check yourself before you continue to wreck yourself. So you stop and that wisdom kicks in and you're still in the rebuilding phase. So what does the latter end of this rebuilding phase look like then for you?
So then you need to look at the tools that will help you to rebuild, because rebuilding, unfortunately, doesn't happen on its own. And I think that's where we also get it wrong, because, you know, when you are kids, growing happens automatically.
Okay.
But you reach a point where you're no longer growing. You have to then make an effort. Yes, you have to make an effort to grow as a person and as a human being.
The water, the sunlight, the fertile soil, you know, the bigger
all
pots.
Those things, yes, all those things. So, you know, you have to bring in the physical part of, you know, rebuilding.
Okay, tell us more.
Because I also, in the process, I did a lot of study on trauma, and you know, they say trauma sits in the body.
Oh, I can attest to that.
Yeah, trauma sits in the body. So that's why you would end up with the diabetes, the gout, the arthritis, all the little ailments. Those are just
autoimmune diseases.
Yes, all those things. So you need to get into decide what exercise do you enjoy? Because then that becomes a tool for your recovery, because you have to release this trauma that is sitting in your body.
Yeah.
You know, have you met people where, like, the person looks nice, they're dressed nice, but they just feel heavy. Their energy feels heavy. It's because you're carrying so much trauma with you, but you don't know.
Yeah.
So decide whether it's dance, it's walking, I don't know, boots. What do they call it? Boot
camp.
Boot camp, whatever it is.
Let's go
hiking, whatever. But you need to do something physical. Yes,
I agree fully.
You have to do something physical. Journaling as well, because that's where you process your thoughts. You know, writing how you feel and getting in touch with yourself and being honest about how you feel, because I think that's one thing that we also don't do. So we swallow a lot of anger. Yes, because sometimes, like with me, I realized that, you know, as much as, if you read my book, as much as I went through a lot with my ex-husband, I don't remember myself even shouting at him or screaming at him or being
you were pushing
angry.
it down, pushing
it down.
You become a Coke can that has been shaken up.
Yes.
So, wow.
So journaling helps you to bring all those things down, and you're like, you know, I am mad, I'm livid, I'm angry, I am you know, that type of thing. So as you do that, as you journal, you do that. Sunlight, like she said, make sure you go outside, you go into the sun, because now you're replenishing. That's rebuilding. Drink your water, girl, and mind your business. It's all these little things. It feels like they're trivial, but they really matter, because as you do these things, you are communicating with yourself, with your inner child, that you matter,
spot on.
that I love you, that I care about you. That's why I take you for a walk. That's why I give you enough water.
But it's the basics. It's not even trivial. That is the thing that we have missed out on for so many years, is the basics. And we do that, you know, we take our clients through that first phase in our therapy process where we're going back to basics, because we found that so many tweens, teens, and adults, and even adults in their early 60s, are sitting with gaps and blind spots of these basics that weren't put in place into their foundation. And then they go into their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're sitting with a rocky foundation, building this life. And then eventually they're like, oh, well, there's no meaning, no fulfillment, because like you said, that inner child was
starving.
It's like, what's the word? Stunted.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
That inner child is not thriving.
Oh my gosh, this is so good.
So those little things, those are the tools to rebuild yourself. And then, of course, you still continue with your therapy. Because at this point, maybe it will be once a month. And
Yeah,
then maybe
you spread it out.
You spread
Yeah.
it out, and then maybe you're like, okay, maybe I also need a coach or whatever.
Yeah.
But you need that support, and then also relationships. Get into a community, whether it's a church but you need a community that nourishes you,
Yeah.
where you start to experience unconditional love.
Yes, complete acceptance.
Yeah, complete acceptance. And then that also helps with support, because if you need to go somewhere, you don't have someone to look after your kids, you have people. So you need that. It's like you need scaffolding.
Okay.
Yes,
I like the wording. I'm all about the words.
Yes, because as like I said to you, there's this narrative of the strong black,
that narrative,
powerful, independent woman and all those things, but you need support.
Yeah.
Because as you go out and you want to go to the next phase of relationship, if you don't have that strong foundation where you're feeding yourself well, you're eating well, eating healthy, you are exercising, you are journaling, you are feeding yourself mentally, you are reading the right books or seeing a therapist and all that, by the time you get into the next relationship, you are able to pick up if it's not the right relationship.
The red flags are there. You see it. You know what you like. You know what you don't like, and what you want and what you don't want.
What you don't want. You know how to treat yourself, because that's where it starts. If you know how to treat yourself well, that's how people learn to treat you well. So if you're a person who wakes up, get in the shower, out in the car, go to work, and then 12 o'clock you're like, oops, I haven't eaten. You're at KFC.
Oh, you are speaking to me. I'm feeling super guilty.
Eating KFC while you're driving, you're on the phone.
Chaos.
Can you realize? Can you see that you have not even given yourself 2 minutes?
Oh gosh.
2 minutes to the inner person, to the inner child. So make time. If you know that, okay, you leave the house at 7, wake up at 6:30. Even if you spend 10 minutes with yourself, like, how are you feeling?
Wow.
And you journal. Let's go for a walk, breathe some fresh air. You go, even if you go around the block.
Ooh,
you come
the convictions are happening over here.
Then you come back, you're like, okay, girl, what do you want to eat? And your little child will tell you, I want to have oats with banana. Oh, I want to have porridge. Healthy stuff. And then you are taking care of yourself. The people in your life can see how you are treating yourself. Then they also now gonna fall in line. But if they watch you and you like KFC, and then 4 o'clock, you're like, oh, sundowners, alcohol.
You teach people how to treat you. And I've always said that, but you've just made me see a different side to it. That I am always saying that in the context of almost like behavior.
Yes, boundaries.
Not realizing that my own treatment of myself in my health is also teaching people how to treat me. Wow. I mean,
because that's how then they see that, okay, this person loves themselves, they like themselves.
Oh my gosh.
This
is life-changing stuff.
Are you sleeping enough?
Yeah, sleep is important.
Can people just phone you at 11 o'clock at night and they access you and you're busy talking to them? Then clearly there is something that's not right there. Because remember, I'm talking especially to somebody who has gone through something.
Yeah.
So you need so much, you need enough sleep. There is just so much that you need, because you need to now replenish yourself. You're rebuilding yourself. So all the way you treat a baby, that's how you must start treating yourself, because you've been through so much. And sometimes we don't, because we want to punish ourselves because of that shame.
Yeah. We self-loathe.
Yeah, we self-loathe. We're carrying so much shame and so much guilt that we're punishing ourselves even more.
I always say to clients, and this happens tweens, teens, and adults, it's not, it's a human thing. And I don't know why, but we have this bamboo rod with all these little words on it, and we are beating ourselves up with this rod. And I always say, give me that rod, I'm going to break it over my knee, and you're going to leave it here after the first session. And when you go on this therapy journey, we're which is just for you. It's just about you. It's fully focused on you. It's your time to heal and recover. I'm actually going to use the word recovery more. I'm like, what a great word. And that they can take this time to be still, but leave the rod here. No, they are no longer having that rod to beat themselves up with.
Stop beating yourself up.
Be kind.
Be kind to yourself. Be the first one to say, I'm going to be on my side. I used to be on everyone's side. Those people who are against me, I would join them. And be, and join them, and we'll be laughing at me.
Oh my gosh.
We'll be talking about my issues and all that. And after
ganging up on yourself.
Ganging up on yourself.
Have you ever? And we do. I'm not saying it as though I've never done it to myself.
Joke around with it. They're like, oh, remember that guy, and you're laughing with them, and no. You come to a point where when you are recovering and when you are rebuilding, you're like, no, if we're going to keep talking about my failures, then I'm not going to come here anymore. You won't see me.
Oh, wow.
Because I am not going to join you to be against me. I am recovering. I know the mistakes that I've made, but I am not going to sit here and joke around and laugh about
and bring you down, break you down, But now, Mantombi, you're speaking into your last point of relationships. It's like we're segueing so beautifully into these human interactions and engagements and these so-called support system or people around you that are supposed to be there to support you through this. Let's speak in this last bit. I'm just looking at the time, and we've got, okay, cool. We've got about 6 minutes or so. I know we started off with a rocky start, so we're going to just maybe go a few minutes over. And I'm going to also look at the comments while we're talking into this. So if you've got any questions, please put in the comments. And if we don't get to it in the live stream, we will try our best to put it in some reels. And the relationship portion is quite a weighted one. So we might not be able to speak into it as well as what we want to, but it can be a live stream on its own. And I really am going to have all of our guests back once again before the end of the year. And then I think we can speak more into relationships because Mantombi said she wants to write a book on relationships. And so I think that later on in the year, it's going to be a great topic to speak just into that. But just in the last few minutes before we speak about your book, and while I'm also looking at some of the comments, continue to speak into that season of not only romantic relationships, but I can see that just having people around you, the right relationships and maybe not so much. What did that look like for you? You know, the ganging up, okay, fine, we see that now, but how did that now unfold? Like where you at in your life after recovery, rebuilding, and now our whole lives are about relationships. So speak into that while I have a squiz at some of the comments and speak to our viewers and our followers on your experience with relationships and kind of like save them some time. You know, let's not make the same mistakes. You know, we must learn from each other to kind of live our best lives quickly. So what wisdom and what goal do you have for us?
Okay. So in terms of relationships, we are relational beings. And what I had to learn, and I think a lot of us need to learn, is that the problems as a single mom, your problems didn't start when you became a single mom. That's just a symptom.
Yeah.
It's a symptom. It's a fruit that is telling you something. It's telling you that there is something that you need to fix in how you relate to people. So, and as you go back, then you realize how important the relationships that we had with our caregivers, our parents is. So whether you were raised by your parents or whoever it is that raised you, that's where actually your problems started.
Okay.
My problems started as well. Because depending on if you had no father, or you had an absent father, or you had a mom who left you with a grandmother, you know, all those things are the ones that contributed to how you then chose the person that you chose, and then the relationship didn't work out. So if we don't fix that part, if you don't go back and fix that part, you will then notice that all your relationships actually reflect.
There's that common thread,
Yes,
and I've seen it
they
with so many
reflect that.
clients, and they get so annoyed. They're like, "What is with this common thread of the type of person?"
Yes.
And I say, it's not the type of person. It's our personalities don't change. Our
Yes.
character, our behavior, and our skill set will change. That personality doesn't change. So if you don't know your personality through and through in all those details, then how are you going to find the best match in personality when the other person also doesn't know their personality really well? And let's be real, our parents didn't know their personality very well either.
They didn't know. So this is not even an exercise to blame people.
No, they did the best they could. If they knew better, they do better. But they did what they did.
We're alive. They did. Yes, we are alive. So it's an exercise to understand how. There is a lovely book that Oprah wrote with a psychologist. It says what happened to you. Because what we tend to do to people when they go, like with me, we go through a divorce or whatever, people are like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? But people should be asking, what happened to you?
Sure.
Because if they ask what happened to you, then you realize that something happened to this person in childhood that's built a framework in their mind where they thought this is how relationship works.
This is so true.
So, and there are things that we don't even talk about because they're just so deeply painful.
Yeah.
You know, how our fathers rejected us, how our moms rejected us, and they were not doing it intentionally. They had to go work somewhere and they leave you with a grandmother. But as a child, you're thinking, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Then you develop abandonment issues.
Yeah.
So then the first guy that smiles at you, you like fall for him.
External validation, value and worth comes from within.
For him, and doesn't matter whether the guy is abusive or what. So that's how you chose that person. And then also to take that responsibility and realize that I chose this person. And then when you look at your friendships as well, you realize sometimes all your friendships are maybe takers. There's no one is giving.
I spoke about this with a client yesterday. This is spot on.
Sometimes it's friends, I'm learning now, and you realize that it's friends who are constantly criticizing you. But you didn't see it because you grew up in a household where you were constantly criticized. So that thing feels so familiar. You just sit there and you take the criticism, but you realize that I'm not growing because every time I grow a little bit, someone breaks me. But you have the wrong people around you.
Oh, wow.
So you need to look at all those relationships and then look at the ones that are healthier and spend more time with the healthy people, the healthy relationships, because that's part of your rebuilding.
Because I posted this actually this week on our WhatsApp status, the Tiny Rooms WhatsApp status. And follow us on our socials, by the way, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, subscribe and like this video. But I posted about be around people that want more for you and not more from you.
Yes.
And
that is so powerful.
It's so powerful because in our sessions, there's a session that we do a relationship diagram. And the relationship diagram is created by me from scratch because when we studied, we learned about a genogram. And a genogram is about your immediate family. It's about almost like your family tree. But a lot of the time, and going through single motherhood, your dynamic is not the nuclear, stereotypical kind of like family structure. I know that, the way that I grew up, I was raised a lot by the people whose homes I went to go hang out with, my friends' parents, or an aunt. So for me, as I grew up, it was other human beings. We need to factor those people in. So the relationship diagram that I created is bringing in, or stock taking, as I call it, all these humans in your life and having a critical look at who are reds and greens and what is the connection like. And that's what I'd also like to speak into in the next live stream when we talk about relationships, is that element of connection, because it's something that isn't spoken about enough. It's a huge element of relationships to decide, is it a quality connection or not? Because you might know somebody as a colleague and a peer. It's not going to be the most strong connection, and that's okay. You need a couple of those people in your life, but then you also need people that are really good quality, strong connections to do life with. Like you said, when somebody needs to look after your kids because you need to go for a work interview, or you need to stay late because you're going to pitch a big proposal and it's going to mean a lot of money for your family, you need to have somebody that you can speed dial and say, hey, can you be there?
Yes.
Or even food support. I mean, I know that I don't even have kids, and running 3 businesses, I have to have a village to help me raise these businesses and help others. So it takes a village to not only raise kids, it takes a village to raise businesses and to also help us as adults live.
Yes, definitely.
And who's going to be in the village?
Yes.
Who's going to be part of that village?
And the danger is that the women who are now having money, who have the financial means,
Ooh,
so what they do is that then they will hire a domestic worker, they will hire all these people to do these things, but you're not building relationships.
Spot on. It's
You're
a
not
structure. It's not a
you're
support
not building
system.
yes, you're building a structure, but you're not building a support system, and you're not learning how to relate.
Sure.
So hence then when you get into the relationships that you're going to attract are going to be people who need help from you. So the men that you attract are not the men who are going to support you, because you are the way you are showing up. You're showing up as someone who is in control, who wants to fix things and all that. So you need to learn how to lean on people
and ask for help.
Ask for help, so that by the time you want to date, you are able to lean onto the people that come to you, and you're able to attract the right people. Because if you don't know how to lean on people, you're going to attract people who need your support
and receive
and the
help.
funny thing is that single moms are the ones who are attracting guys who need help.
being mothers to people.
So you mother them, you pay bills, you doing this, and you're the one who needs the support. But because we have been conditioned that love is earned, we don't see that there's something wrong with this relationship. The more you're doing for people, you feel like, okay, I'm going to gain love and acceptance, if I do
don't
things,
receive.
and you're not receiving, you're starving, you're not receiving anything.
Gosh. There is so much gold here that I'm so glad that this is recorded. But before we go, I really want to speak into Mantombi's book. And guess what? We've got our own copy. Mantombi signed a copy. Have a look. You got to jump onto our Instagram page. We've got a post about the book, but also on the description, or in the description, under this live stream recording, we will put all of Mantombi's details on how to get hold of her, not only for the coaching, but also for the book, and how to get your hands on it, because we've got 2 copies here that's going into our client library at the Tiny Room, because we advocate and we encourage our clients to read, because there's always a book that is just going to speedboat you and propel you.
That's part of rebuilding yourself.
Yeah, and springboard you to the next phase or the next level in your journey. And it just brings, it enhances and richness to a client's counseling or therapy journey. So, Mantombi, don't you want to just speak briefly into the book and really the heart behind why you wanted to pen down and put it into, a cover, your story, because I know you've got a heart for people, and I know that you want to give that wisdom and this gold that she's giving on this live stream, but you wanted it out there for more single moms to not only hear all of this, but you wanted it, I take it, save some time, get them to save some time. But what was the main objective for you to put this book together?
I wanted single, because sometimes as a single mom, you feel like you are alone. You're the only one who's crying at night, because you can't even cry in front of the kids. You have to be strong. Late at night, you're crying. You have so many questions, trying to understand why you're going through so much, why things are taking so long, or why your relationships are not working out. So I wanted people not to feel alone, that, whatever it is that you're going through is every other single mom is going through. There is someone who can relate to what you are going through, and that there is hope. you
Sure.
know, because there are no tools, you know. If you look at a church set up, there is, or, you know, so community set up, there is rehab for people who take drugs, there is rehab for alcoholics, you know, there is rehabs for people who are suicidal, who struggle with depression and all that.
Divorce
recovery and support. But
yeah.
there's nothing for single moms.
Sure.
Nothing, and yet we are the majority.
I know, the stats speak for themselves.
More than 42% of moms are single moms, but there are no structures, you know. And besides single moms, there are a lot of single women who have been through so much trauma that they're no longer young anymore. They don't fit into youth and young adults, whatever. They, you know, they've been through divorces and all that. They might not have kids or whatever, but they've been through so much breakups and heartache. But there is no safe space. So for me, it's about it's about creating a safe space.
And now, speaking about the safe space, I was telling Mantombi before we went on the live that we've got so many clients who are single moms, and they're either sending their tweens and teens for our tween and teen therapy process, but at the same time, they all single moms are getting plugged in for counseling and therapy for either grief, trauma, and this recovery period. And I have such a big part of my heart aside for single moms, because I've worked with single moms for so many years as a social worker out in the field. And we would always just have in our minds a lot of the time that whole stigma that single moms are out in impoverished areas. And I know of so many single moms in my own life and also in so many affluent areas. And like you said, we sometimes don't even know when somebody's a single mom because they look like they've got it all together. They've got the money, they've got the career, they've got all the lavish things. We just always sometimes assume in our peanut human brains that this woman must have her man and must have this and all this stuff. And it's not the case.
And that she's happy.
Yeah, the mask. We need to write a book on the mask. We should partner on a book about the facade and the well-dressed poverty. I mean, I would love to write a book on all of that. And then I just, in the last closing, please, all of you that are on the live, like this live, subscribe, share the live. I mean, we have got two portions of the live now. So there's the short version and this long version. So we will get our things on track for next week. But I'm so glad there were so many of you on. And I'm hoping that you're enjoying this platform compared to the Instagram lives. And then, any other topics you'd like us to speak into, but we are going to have Mantombi back. And please go and look at the description. We will also post it on our Facebook, our Instagram, where you can go and get the coaching, where you can get hold of her, to ask her any questions, get the book, order the book. And we just love you guys. Thank you for your evening. We value it. I know load shedding. I mean, look at us. We're sitting here in the dark. But we will always do these live streams without fail. We are not going to stop them because of Eskom. So we will have our little lights, and we've got UPSs. So we've got Wi-Fi. And Mantombi is actually in this tiny room right here next to me. I can't believe it. So this is special. So lots of love, lots of hugs, and just thank you so much. Thank you so much, because I know how busy Mantombi is. Her DMs are blowing up with ordering of the book. So, please go and give her encouragement. Share with your single mom friends. And maybe let's start a support group, be it on social media. Somehow give some suggestions on how Mantombi can start a support group for single moms. You could possibly do your own lives and have a place where you can have a platform or a Zoom call or whatever, and have that maybe once a month. But I think it's great. And she does the coaching. So there's already one place to start. So love you guys. Have a great evening. And I think the electricity's come back on our side. So we're going to have some tea. Okay. Bye.
Thank you guys.
Have a great evening.
My friends who
there's so many questions. So bye for now. Thanks, guys. Bye.